Chase after the ship carrying Azagath, Belondor, and Akasi, Reaper of the Waves, as they sail into the shadow cast by Makhda Khorbo. You'll enter the caverns and fight these notorious pirates, or die trying. A lot, if you're progging. Good day, friends. Miloa here. Today I'll be walking you through the depths of Makhda Khorbo and explaining the strategy that has led to Miloascape raiding team consistently clearing T3. This strategy should work for all tiers 1 through 3. So strap on your sword and pirate hats, because there is a lot of details to go through. This video has been broken up into chapters, so feel free to jump around looking for the details on the boss fight you are struggling with. Let's get started. The first boss in Khorbo is the hardest one because each of the ads have unique abilities. In fact, the devs this time gave each of them named mobs the same skills as in the classes. This is different from previous raids and makes for a rather fun puzzle to solve. Azagath's Sea Shadow, who I will refer to as Azza, has 5 friends. The ideal kill order on T3 and below is Burkhad, Ephetud, Zagharon, Ishakar, and Farida. Let's look at the special abilities for each of them. Burkhad is a minstrel with massive heal skills like Triumphant Spirit, Major Heal, Minor Heals, and so on. Several of these heals are yellow bar and can be interrupted, but most of them are gray bar. One specific skill is Tails. This makes all other enemies in the arena immune to dazes and stuns, and thus means that you will be missing important interrupts. Above all costs, Tails must be interrupted. Burkhad will keep the entire boss side heal for as long as he is alive, so we will be fighting an uphill damage battle the longer Burkhad is up. For this reason alone, we like to kill Burkhad first. Yes, you can try to crowd control him, but for even the best LMs and Burgs that will only work half time. Really not ideal or feasible. Best defense is an offense. Kill Burkhad first, because all the other mob mechanics can be managed. Ephetud is a mariner, and the worst thing that he does is throw fire pots that do massive AoE damage to your group. Fortunately, this is a yellow bar induction that can be interrupted. I advise that you have the lore master focus on interrupting Ephetud. Ephetud does a random attack on someone where he runs off and hits them, but then he will run straight back to the tank. Ephetud does not drop fire pots while he is chasing after people, so it is an ideal time for the LM to make sure that all support buffs are up and on the right targets. Then when Ephetud runs back to the tank, the LM can keep an eye out on him again. Zagharon is a guardian, and he does a huge distributed frontal damage called Slam. This is a gray bar induction that roots him in place. The tank can back up or sidestep to avoid it. Do not run through the boss, as this will turn all the other mobs on the tank around, and they will frontal the melee players. This is a fine dance, because the tank has to wait for Slam to be completely done before moving back into group. It will take most tanks a couple of pulls to learn just when to move back. Typically, the tank should focus on Zag the entire time to make sure that Slam is avoided while holding all the other targets. Zag will also chase after people. He does an aggro wipe after Slam, so the ad tank needs to be ready to take him back. Ishakar is a captain that can summon an Oathbreaker. On T3, the Oathbreaker can one-shot players with a Heartseeker. If an Oathbreaker ever comes alive, then they move to the top of the kill order and must die first. We usually have a red captain focus on interrupting Ishakar summons Oathbreaker induction. Ishakar does other captain skills as well, but none of them can be interrupted or avoided, so your team will just have to survive through those hits. Farida is a hunter, and the deadliest thing that she does is Heartseeker. This is a gray bar induction that can only be interrupted by a Berg that can daze and stun her, which will stop the induction. She also drops puddles on the ground, but these don't do much damage. Just step out of the puddles and you'll be fine. Although Farida is a hunter, if a melee goes up to her and engages with her, she will swap to melee stance. At that point, the tanks can move her to wherever the group wants. Typically, the ad tank will already have a lot of ads pounding on them, so ideally we have boss tank pick up Farida till we've whittled down some of the ads. Then we pull Farida to the tank so that she can get AoE damage. However, if you want to maximize your AoE strategy, it is best to pull Farida to the main killing mob as soon as the tank feels comfortable. It is important to note that Azagath will will not take any damage while the ads are alive. Thus, the only solution is to kill all the ads before you even attempt to kill Azagath. The boss tank will typically pull Azagath as far away from the group as possible because of the skill marked for death. Azagath will put a purple eye over someone's head that he will then chase after. The mark puts a bleed on the person, and then if he catches you, he puts a second bleed on you. 2 bleeds is deadly, and unless you have heavy armor, it is almost impossible to survive. Thus, everyone should watch for the purple eye. There is also a voice line where Azagath says the name of the person he has marked. We typically have the boss tank call the marked player's name. Boss tank will see when Azagath moves away and when he comes back. It is useful if the boss tank can also call when Azagath is no longer chasing someone. We simply use the format of player's name plus run and then as a clear. An alternative strategy would be for those squishy classes that do not have personal run speeds to just eat the hit from Azagath and hope the healers are strong enough to keep them alive. This also depends on how many healers you bring to the fight and also on how good the mitigations of the players are when they get hit by Azza. The other deadly mechanic that Azza has is the gray bar induction called Howl of the Deathless. Howl will go off every 2 minutes and will do a massive AoE in the entire room, so it cannot be avoided. This damage will increase over time as Howl cheers up every time it goes off. There are 2 things to do here. The champion needs to taunt Azza before Howl goes off. This diminishes the effect of the AoE, then right after the boss tank taunts back. This is not cheesing it, but rather a known mechanic that the devs like to use to give the champs something to do. As Howl increases, your healing team needs to start cycling their raid bubbles to ensure that the raid has some protection every time Howl goes off. Should also have your huge AoE skills up for right after to bump everyone's health back up. Note that the boss tank needs to call Howl because the champion will not actually have the boss targeted during the fight to watch for the inductions. Let's talk about positioning. Burkhead does not move at all. Thus, the ad tank needs to pull all the ads right on top of Burkhead. Zag is always a bit of a problem. The team will be on Burkhead first, but Melee should be mindful that they are not standing in front of Zag or Ishk to avoid their frontal attacks. May take a moment for the ad tank to have them in a good position. The boss tank should be positioned just inside the gate you enter from and tucked into the left wall. That way, it gives the maximum distance between Azagath and the group and enough time for people to respond and start running away from the eye. Because of this positioning, it is best to run clockwise around the room with eye. Some groups will expect everyone to watch for inductions that can be interrupted and do them, but on T3 and higher, if these interrupts are missed, they can cause a lot of havoc. Personally, I like to assign specific classes to be responsible for interrupts so that these skills aren't overlap and wasted. When starting this fight, ask the raid leader what strategy they are following and what target they expect you to interrupt. Then when you have your assigned target, tool to bits so you can easily access it. I am sure that there are a lot of other things that these bosses do, but the ones that I've mentioned are the worst, and if these mechanics are managed well, then your group will be able to consistently get past Azza. My team and I killed Thermal and LOTRO on Tier 4 in 2023, and since then I have gone on to raid in Star Wars The Old Republic, and plan to roll out raiding tunes in multiple MMOs this year following my streamlined strategy. I've helped thousands of gamers sharpen their raiding skills, and people come to me and they say, "Hey Miloa, can you help me become a raider? Can you show me how to get started? Let me show you what I've put together for you." From Rookie to Raider contains all the knowledge that I've gained from raiding for 10 plus years. It goes through every single step that you need to know to start your raiding journey, getting your character to max level, gearing up efficiently, what are the different raid roles, how to adapt to the different raid mechanics, how to find a raid team that fits you, why you need a mentor and a guild, how to make money in game so that you can always buy what you need when you need it, how to prepare physically and mentally to succeed in raiding. I answer every question you can think of as a rookie, and even answer the important questions that you haven't even thought of. Click the link in the description below and go grab it today. On the way to Belondor, there will be a lot of ad pulls to do. The higher the tier, the more ads you have to deal with. The best kill order that we found is Grimcaller, Tethered Light, Crocodile Tamer, Crab Tamer, Sorks, everything else, and then Soothers. However, this assumes that Soothers is being CC'd. If the Soother is loose, it should be killed after the Grimcaller. Here's what they do. Grimcaller will continuously summon Tethered Lights. These Tethered Lights will do massive heals, and it will be impossible to kill anything. The Grimcaller can be interrupted, but we found it more efficient to just kill him first. Soother also does massive heals, so as long as the Soother can be CC'd, you can carry on and kill the tethered energies first. If the Soother gets loose, then they move to the top of the kill order. The Crocodile Tamer will consistently summon crocodiles. Crocs have a tail swipe that can knock people off the edge and cause instant death, but they also do massive frontals. If you have too many crocs alive, they will just tear through the group. The tank should be able to handle them while the previous targets are taken out first. You can have the Berg CC and interrupt the Croc Tamer. The Crab Tamer will summon crabs. This can be interrupted. The crabs do less damage than the crocodiles, which is why they are lower on the kill order list. They should still be taken out, because if you have too many crabs from leaving the Crab Tamer unattended for too long, it will wipe your group. On higher tiers, you may want to prioritize Sorks, because they do a lot of damage. Depends on your group's mitigations. You can assign one AoE damage class in your group to focus on Sorks, and everyone else will follow the before mentioned kill order. After that, it really doesn't matter. It is the TA's choice. Some of the other ads do things, but they are so minor that your healers should be able to heal through them. You have successfully made it through the ads and now stand before Belondor and his crew. A hint of warning before I dive into this fight: once you move past the gate, you want to stay away from the gate because it will reset the fight if people get too close to the gate. Right, now, Belondor has a few friends: Telkenza the healer, Kalmos the tamer, Hakref a frost sorcerer, Lashana and Myron 2 archers, and Salix the champ. If you've not done this fight, I will be revealing a massive spoiler next, so you've been warned. Belondor has 2 phases. During phase 1, you will need to kill his ads, because he will take absolutely no damage while the ads are alive. You must move Belondor away from the ads because he is protecting them. The ads will not take any damage while Belondor is with them. Once you phase each of the ads and they surrender, Belondor will get enraged and turn the ads into shades. Your team should move away from the ads because they will aggro onto the nearest target. You will then need to drag and tank Belondor surrounded by the shades, or he doesn't take any damage. For the last phase, you want to focus on Belondor. The less shades that are alive, the less damage Belondor will take. Now, interesting, if you take too long to get phase 1 done, the ads that you have already green barred will start fighting you again. Note that if you kill them, that Belondor will not take any damage in phase 2. You must keep at least some of them alive for Belondor to turn into shades. And yes, when they reanimate, they will have all of their skills from phase 1. Typically, the ad tank will tank the ads in the corner where they originally spawn. The boss tank will tank Belondor and Salix in the right corner just inside the gate from which you enter. The kill order for this fight is Telkenza, Kalmos, Hakref, Myron, Lashana, Salix. Let's look at each of their mechanics. Telkenza is a healer. She does several yellow and gray bar inductions that will heal that entire group. Unless she dies first, your damage team will have a hard time taking any target down. The damage team is responsible for handling any of her interrupts. Kalmos is a tamer. He will summon pets that can deal massive damage, like lions, crocs, etc. If his summons is not interrupted, the small room can fill with pets, and if there are enough of them, they will overwhelm the group and cause a wipe. Typically, the red captain or blue mariner is responsible for interrupting Kalmos. Akraf puts down a puddle called Frigid Squall. This reduces run speed and increases incoming melee crit chance by 5%. On T3+, it hurts a lot because some of the ads do AoE damage. Typically, we will assign Hakref to the lore master for interrupts. Myron does a power drain, and Lashana does cleanses. Typically, the ad tank will focus on interrupting Myron, while the Berg focuses on interrupting Lashana. It is not that big of a deal if one of their skills go off because your group can recover, but for the most part, it is useful if they are dealt with and will definitely speed up your fight. Killing Salix is a pure DPS check. By this I mean that you will have a limited window of 30 seconds in which you must phase Salix. This is only on tier 2 and higher. You will get a buff on him that allows himself to be healed for every damage he takes. Once that buff wears off, you have 30 seconds in which to phase him before the buff is reapplied and he heals all the way to full health. When your group gets ready to kill Salix, remember to pull him away from the boss Belondor so that he takes damage. Then save all your offensive skills. No need to hit him till the buff drops. Although you could put bleeds on him so the second the buff wears off, he starts taking damage. Then pump it out. The reason why the boss tank pulls Salix away from the other ads is because he does a skill called Whirlwind Cut Bleed. This This is an AoE bleed that anyone standing next to him will get, and he can apply multiple bleeds. So your medium and light armored classes can bleed to death if he is in the group and they are in his AoE range. By keeping Salix with the boss, only the boss tank needs to be concerned about this. When ready, pull Salix into group, and everyone should stay away from him until his buff dropped off and they need to do massive damage. Once Salix dies, Belondor will do a short speech. All medium and light armor need to get away from the ad, because once ads are turned into shades, they will aggro and try to one-shot target closest to them. Everyone should now focus on Belondor and burn him down quick. On tier 2 and higher, Belondor will put fear onto the entire raid party. Important for raid cleansers to cycle cleansing. That means the captain and Berg should take turns cleansing these fears. If fear happens back and raid cleanses are down, only then should people use their personal cleanses. During this phase, Belondor will also do an AoE that cannot be avoided. Group healers need to cycle keeping bubbles up. This is also a good time for the Mariner to use Guided by the Stars. You want to kill Belondor within 30 seconds and no longer than 1 minute, or your group will start dropping like flies. For the last boss, that I call the Squid, there is a lot happening here. Let's start by taking a look at this map that shows where everything will pop up. You have the squid head with tentacles on either side, usually the slapping and sturdy. Then you have the zone where the squid summons the crabs, tethered energies, and crocs. Lastly, you have a right side here and a left side here, with 3 boats on each side where the crushing tentacles will appear. Pay close attention to what I have labeled right and left. You will need those directions as I walk you through this fight. The easiest way for me to explain this fight is to just walk you through it sequentially, otherwise it will be too overwhelming. Fight starts off with the boss popping up out of the water, summoning his ads and tentacles, and then dips down again. The LM needs to be ready to Baneflare, root, and CC the ad that spawn, allowing the ad tank enough time to pick up the left slapping and left sturdy before running over and AoE taunting the crocs, tethered lights, and crabs. The ad tank will proceed to kite these ads while using his range single target taunt on TA on cooldown. The boss tank will be responsible for picking up the right side slapping and sturdy tentacles. The damage team will take down the left slapping and then the right slapping. As soon as the right slapping dies, the squid pops up, killing all of his ads and summoning new ones. Boss tank needs to pick up the squid head and turn him to the left. Boss tank needs to pick up any sturdy tentacles that are spawning on that side. Alum needs to stun ads, giving ad tank time to round them all up. Note that ads spawn when you kill the second slapping. Kill the ads. Range should focus on tethered energies, that is healing everything, while melee takes out the crocodiles first and then the crabs. Do not use any of your big offensive skills on these ads. You're going to need that for the crushings next. Once all the ads are dead, it is time for the crushings. Locate the crushings either on the right pier or left pier. Group up by the start of the pier. The crushings will trigger a timer when someone hits them or gets close to them. If you don't kill the crushing within the timer, then they will destroy the boat, and you will have a hard time killing the squid head. Wait till everyone groups up, then run as a group to the crushing you will kill. Be 100% sure that everyone is only targeting that crushing. If not, you're in trouble. Use Oathies on the crushing and all your big offensive skills and kill the crushing quick. At 25% of the crushing's morale, you can do a fellowship maneuver. Do this as it now does a lot of damage, suggesting going all red or all yellow. Make sure everyone stays around damaging the crushing until it dies. Once crushing dies, it will automatically set the boat free, sailing to the squid head. Everyone will run to get on the squid's head. Once the boat crashes into the squid's head, there will be a limited time window during which it will take damage. Unleash your fury and burn it. Squid's head will phase at 75%, 50%, and 25%. If you can phase the squid's head with one boat, you can start the cycle over. This is very doable in tier 1 and tier 2 if you have enough DPS. If you can't phase the squid's head, you will need to check stacks on the sturdies. If the sturdies have 4 or more buffs on them, it is best to take the time and kill the sturdies first. In fact, in T3, I highly recommend killing both the left and the right sturdy before going to the second crushing in that phase. Once sturdies are down, group up by the pier. Go kill the crushing, race to the boss's head, wait for boat to hit squid, kill squid, and face it. In the event that you lose a boat, you will need to stand there and manually kill the squid's head. It will be very slow and will add 5 minutes or more to your battle. We'll probably need to kill the sturdies if their buff stacks back up again. It is doable, but man, is it a waste of time. Right, now you just rinse and repeat. The standard T3 kill order is left slapping, left sturdy, right slapping, tethered energies, procs, crabs, crushing, squid head, left sturdy, crushing, squid head. Once you reach 25% of squid's head, things will change slightly. You will no longer have any boats left. You will go down the line. Kill left slapping, burn left sturdy to 50% morale, burn right sturdy to 50% morale, kill right slapping. You don't want to kill the sturdies here because the tanks will not have time to pick them up when they spawn. You want to make sure that the tanks have them secured before killing the second slapping. The sweeping tentacles spawn when the second slapping dies. They do a one-shot ranged attack unless there is someone standing in melee range to them. This is very important, or else your tanks and healers will get targeted and go down first. If you lose a healer and tank in this last phase, it will be very hard to recover. This is the hardest part of the boss fight and an intricate dance. Look at this blocking chart to see what happens. While the damage team is killing the second slapping, the tanks, LMs, and healers need to move into position as shown on the chart. Second slapping dies, add spawn, squid head, and sweeping spawn. The LM needs to CC the adds, that is the crocs, crabs, and tethered energies. The add tank needs to secure the sweeping on the side where the damage team is. Damage team will immediately target that sweeping to kill, so it needs to be secured or it will obliterate the damage team. Boss tank needs to be on the opposite sweeping when the head spawns, can AoE taunt his side, and then check to ensure that he has the sweeping and the boss head secure. Yes, this does mean that the boss tank may end up with a couple of crabs, but that is a better scenario than having the sweeping and squid head loose. As soon as the add tank has secured the sweeping, they will make a straight line to go pick up all the adds that the LM CC'd. LM will move to the boss tank's sweeping tentacle to be in melee range. Once damage kills their sweeping, they will go to the sweeping where the LM stands. At this point, the damage team and the boss tank needs to change locations, which is why you keep the LM right there to keep somebody within melee range of that sweeping. The Mariner should save guided by the stars till you get to the second sweeping, because by that time your other healers have blown all their group bubbles and the group heals to keep the group alive. This right here is the hardest part of the fight. If you can get past this, you're more than halfway there. Once both sweepings are down, you can kill the tethered energies, the crocs and crabs, and right now there will be no more adds, no more crushings, no more sweepings, no more slappings. You only have to deal with the boss's head and the sturdies. The squid head will have a debuff on it that makes it immune to fellowship maneuvers. Once that buff drops off, Berg will do an FM, do all yellows. Once the FM goes off, the boss will take damage for a limited time. Once the squid head becomes immune, swap to the sturdies, kill the two sturdies, then back on the boss, do the FM. Once the boss hits 20% morale, he's going to hit an enrage, meaning that he's going to do more damage. At this point, you better be sure the sturdies are dead and dealt with, because all of your focus will need to be on the boss's head. Typically, the add tank will keep an eye out and pick up any of the sturdies if they spawn again, while the boss tank focuses on keeping the squid head turned away from the group. This is a pure DPS race. Once the FM goes off, the boss will take damage. So alternate Captain Othes and Mariner Othes and be absolutely sure that your offensive arsenal to burn him down. Keep pushing hard until he dies. The one great thing that devs have done in this latest update and this raid is made it so that multiple class combinations can work. So here's the ideal comp as I see it. I'm sure others will have other opinions, but this is what I've seen to work the best. Your adds tank should be a guard. Boss tank can be yellow cap, brawler, bear, or warden. If you're going to do 3 heals, you want to bring 2 blue RKs and a mini. If you're only doing 2 heals, you want to do 1 blue RK and a mini. You're bringing the money also along for all the buffs. Support, you will need both an LM and a Berg to pull this off. And then having both the red captain and the blue mariner means that you have double Othes, and the blue mariner has stars that can help in the most trickiest situations. That leaves 3 spots for damage. You'll want to bring at least a champ for AoE damage. The last 2 damage spots can be red RKs, red bear, and a hunter if you must. Although hunter's DPS has really been nerfed this update, so be sure not to stack hunters. You also want to take at at least one bear along for armor crushing bees. Bear can really be the tank damage or heals, totally depends on your bear. We prefer damage because their AoE damage is just as good as the champs. If you've been paying attention to my gameplay, you will have noticed that I have some pop-ups that tell me what to do during the fight. This is a special script that the Prime developers have created. Go watch this video to learn how to install it. Thanks for watching and happy hunting.